At this point of the year, you might be thinking of giving yourself a challenge in order to make sure that you start the new year off right after the holidays, or maybe you're at the point in the semester where like your own health and nutrition has gone by the wayside and you want to get back on track, and so you're thinking of taking on maybe a monthly challenge. And so I thought I would share with you my experience doing a healthy lifestyle challenge called 75 Soft, and how actually I don't think I would do it again. I don't think it had the results that I had hoped it would have. And so I wanted to share my experience with you in case this is one of the challenges that you are considering at the end of this year. And so a disclaimer is that I tweaked the 75 Soft for myself. It wasn't exactly as the rules tend to be. But if you're not familiar with this, so 75 Soft is basically there's 5 rules, and you do these every day for 75 consecutive days. So the first rule is that you exercise for 45 minutes every day with potentially 1 rest day a week. The second rule is that you drink 100 ounces of water every day. The third is that you eat healthy meals throughout the whole time with 1 cheat meal a week if you choose to do so. Then there's also that you only drink alcohol socially, so not like when you're at home by yourself, only if you go out to drinks with a group of friends or with family, whatever the case may be. And then also that you read 10 pages of a book, either fiction or nonfiction, again, every day. So these are the rules of 75 Soft. And for me, I kept the 45 minutes of exercise a day with the 1 rest day, though in my case, I did do it every day for 75 days. I also ate healthy meals with only 1 cheat meal a week. I did the water, the 100 ounces a day. There was 1 day where I did not meet that goal. And then for me, I don't drink alcohol, so there was no point in that rule. So I changed that to be going to bed by 11 p.m. every day instead, because I tend to be a night owl, but then I wake up early for work. And then I also tweaked the reading 10 pages of a fiction or nonfiction novel every day. I'd argue I read too much. I read a lot of fan fiction, for example. I love reading it, and I read it every day. I read a lot of it. And so I actually wanted to decrease how much I read every day versus adding more. So I made the opposite goal for that one. And then 75 Hard, which is, again, a different version of it, also includes taking a progress photo every day, just to, again, see a visual progress of you during this journey. And I thought, why not? So I did that too. And so for me, like I said, I did the healthy eating every day, the water all but 1 of the 75 days, the exercise every single day. The going to bed by 11 was much harder for me. I think there were 6 days where I did not reach that goal in the 75. And then, what am I missing here? The reading, very hard too. I made actually 2 tweaks to how I was limiting myself about halfway through the challenge in order to make sure that I actually accomplished this the rest of the time. So that one, you can say technically I accomplished it, or you can say I only accomplished half of it if you're considering tweaking the rules to be the end of it. And I took the progress photo all but 1 day at the very end. I think day 73, I forgot to take the photo. But again, no big deal there. And so, usually for the challenges, if you don't do the goal on 1 day, any of the goals, you have to start from scratch. I didn't want to do that. I knew I wouldn't going in. This was more just, again, challenging myself to start making healthy habits tied to things that interested me, right? So I wanted to make sure I did more exercise than just 30 minutes a day, which I've been doing so far. I wanted to drink more water. It actually wasn't that big of a difference, not much of a jump from what I was currently doing to the 100 ounces. I wanted to eat healthier. So this was a big one. So this probably was the biggest change. Unless it was part of my cheat meal, I had no fries for 75 days. I had no dessert for 75 days. So it was one of those things where that one probably had the most of an effect, that I had to notice a difference. But then the bedtime and the decreasing how much I read, I actually think those 2 were my downfall, which again are the ones that I added to the challenge. So maybe if I had just kept the original version of it, I wouldn't have such negative feelings after the challenge. And for me, the problem was that once the challenge ended, I was like, oh my God, freedom, finally. I can go to bed after 11. Finally, I can read all this fan fiction that I want. Finally, I don't have to drink this much water. I don't have to work out this much, right? So I ended up the week after, I exercised less than I had been doing the whole rest of the year so far. I had less water than I've been drinking for most of the year so far. Those are already habits that I had created. And yet after this challenge, I stopped doing them because I was just like so relieved to be done with making sure every day that I was doing these things. Read a lot more fan fiction than I usually do, on an average day because I finally had the chance to do so. Went to bed much later than I usually do because I don't have to go to bed by 11, right? And of course, going to bed later meant waking up later means I couldn't go for my walk in the morning before work. So it really had this spiral effect on me once the challenge ended. And so for you, if you're considering doing a challenge here at the end of the year or whenever you're watching this video, I think, there were some pros, right? I don't want to say it was all terrible, right? I'm proud of myself for accomplishing the challenge so well, especially the fact that I did my exercise every single day for 75 days. I did the healthy eating, with only the one cheat meal a week, for those 75 days. Other than the one day, I had my water. So on the whole, the ones that are specifically health oriented, I accomplished quite well. The bedtime, again, 6 missed days, but still better than usual, right? So now after the challenge, I am more cognizant of okay, I'm gonna have this meal. Do I want to have this meal as is, or do I want to have a vegetable side rather than this fries side? Do I want to have that sandwich, or do I want to have something that has less bread? So I am more cognizant of what I'm eating, which I think is a good difference from before the challenge to after it. And I did accomplish the 45 minutes every day. So it means it is possible for me to do that much exercise every day, which is good to know mentally, even if, again, I had kind of fallen off doing that this past week. I'm all right, well, that is something that I can work up to again, from the 30 back to 45, hopefully by the end of this year. So, in those senses, those two elements, great. And I also realized this past week, since I've been going to bed so late, no, it is really important for me to go to bed earlier because then that really helps me set up the next day really well. I can wake up early enough to go for my walk, to have my breakfast, right? To hopefully do some writing before work begins. So the difference between finishing that challenge and this past week has shown me, it is important to do this thing. Maybe not every single day has to be 11 p.m., but you should consider going to bed earlier because look at how much a difference it made from during the challenge. I was doing really well. I was waking up early. I was in the zone, going for my walk, no problems. And now it's totally different after the challenge ended. So it gave me appreciation for these challenges elements that I had. But I realized I was expending so much willpower during these last 2.5 months that I'm so tired at this point of doing that once the challenge ended. So I think, for me, the length of the challenge was probably not good, right? It was too long. Maybe just a month would have been better, or 2 months, 60 days, as well as having so many of these factors, so many rules for every day, which again, it was pushing myself, I think, too far. So I think for you, if you're considering doing a challenge at this time of the year, then potentially consider maybe not 5 requirements, maybe do 3. Maybe not 75 days, maybe just 30. Or maybe have less of a jump. So for you, maybe you don't exercise at all, at this moment in time, or only twice a week, So maybe you have doing 15 minutes of exercise every day, not 45. Maybe you drink very little water. You're more of a coffee, tea, soda, juice person. Well, maybe we want to make sure that at least 32 ounces of water a day is part of what you're intaking, right? Maybe you're a night owl too, so you're going to bed at 1 p.m. most days. Maybe just change that to midnight instead, right? So I think challenges are helpful, right? They really push yourself. They give you a sense of your mindset. But I do think that you want to really reflect on not going too hard, not going too far into it. Because again, for me, that's my opinion, right? That it was too much and it caused this backslide on my habits that I had already been doing for most of the year. So I thought I'd share this information with you in case you are someone who likes challenges like I do. And again, maybe if I'd done the original version, it would have been much easier because again, I don't drink alcohol, so that would have been really easy. I already read tons, so reading 10 pages more of a book would have been very easy for me. So maybe I would have felt very differently from it, and I would be in a totally different position. Maybe it was those 2 tweaks that was too much for me. So if you're someone who's considering using a challenge that exists, but then tweaking it to make it more for you, give some serious thought to, are you taking on too much on your plate? Is it going to potentially cause a backslide? So I just thought I'd share this. I mentioned it in my Q3 recap video from, a couple weeks ago now, but I thought it might interest you if you're someone who likes challenges. I'm actually going to be doing a different challenge next month. So I'll be doing my own version of NaNoWriMo, so National Novel Writing Month. I'm not planning on doing 50K words, writing 50,000 words in that month, but I do want to finish my middle grade novel draft. And so soon I'll have a video about Preptober, so when you prep for Nano in October, in case you're someone who wants to do either NaNoWriMo or the academic version, so Academic Writing Month, where you pick your particular goal and again, try to accomplish it in November. So I have a little booklet for those of you who want to take on the challenge alongside with me. So make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that. And click like if you're someone who likes challenges too, or you have your own thoughts about challenges. Go ahead and let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.